$199 a month. The first month especially, you get Golovkin, you get Canelo Smith, you get Garcia Campbell. £1.99 a month.
Is that your best Eddie Hearn impression?
Honestly, I should work for DAZN.
Yes, guys, welcome to the A-Side podcast. Really excited to start this channel. I've mentioned it on a previous video on my own channel personally. My name's Jordan, doing this channel with Ian. Say hello, Ian.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, we're two good friends, basically, big boxing fans. We met a few years ago via a previous workplace. Been up to a couple places together. Went up to Sheffield a few years ago for Brooks Spence. Recently, last year as well, went up to Liverpool for Smith Eggington. And yeah, we're really into boxing basically. We wanted to do this for a while. It's been on the cards. We're going to be doing classic fights, fighter profiles, fight night reactions, just talking about the sport that we love basically and going into it in depth of our thoughts and opinions. We're going to do about one video a week, one podcast a week. I hope you guys enjoy it and get on board with it. Before we get started as well, one thing I do want to mention, just to give it a bit of a narrative for you guys as well. Me and Ian are actually quite
split on our opinions is probably
that's probably a good way to put it. Yeah, so basically we both like the big dogs. We both like Fury and Joshua. I'm a little bit of a Joshua fanboy. By a little bit I mean a huge amount. I've been to 4 of his fights, followed him since the Olympics in 2012, so I've got that connection there. Ian is a big fan of Fury, so it makes it quite an interesting dynamic between the two of us. We like both fighters, but we have got a little bit of a friendly rivalry there going up to hopefully their fight in 2021 if it gets made. I personally think Joshua can knock him out from what I've seen. I think Fury is a little bit, as mad as it's to say, I think he's a little bit overrated. For me, he's only got 2 good wins in his locker, and the credit he gets compared to having just those 2 wins versus Joshua's resume, I think is a little bit out of sync. But you think slightly differently.
I think when you look at Joshua's best 2 wins, 41-year-old Klitschko, who's been beaten up by Fury already. You look at Fury's best wins, he took on the most feared puncher, in the last 25 years since Mike Tyson in Wilder. Got dropped by him, came back, should have won that fight, I think everyone agrees on that.
Yeah.
I think then when you look at the rematch, probably one of the most iconic performances by a British fighter abroad in recent memory. I can't think of anyone going abroad and pulling up a performance like that. I think that's one of the best heavyweight performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I see Fury just doing the same to AJ. I think he can keep him on the end of his jab. I think he's a bigger, stronger man. I just think he's got a lot of problems when he fights Fury as Mr. Joshua.
Do you think Fury's record though is a bit padded in terms of he's got, obviously since his comeback, he's got people like Sefer Safuri, Tom Schwartz, then Wilder, then Francesco Pianetta. So he's got these big wins, but I feel, Otto Warren as well, which was a close fight. I think he's got these big wins in the locker and these big, under the lights performances, which everyone talks about. But I feel like in terms of comparison to Joshua now, so Joshua's win against Pulev was quite criticised by a lot of people. He didn't get the job done soon enough. But Fury will fight, say, Otto Warren, for example, go the distance in quite a boring fight that maybe should have been stopped due to the cut he had. And I feel from my perspective it gets swept under the carpet a little bit. What are your thoughts on the perception of Joshua having to prove himself every time versus Fury, for me, can take 3 fights off for every one big performance?
With AJ's resume, the names sound great on it. Povetkin, 41, past his best. You look at Dominic Breazeale, who got sparked in 35 seconds by Wilder. So Dillian White, when he wasn't anything near he is now, rocked him, could have got him out there if he had a little bit more time. So I do think the names sound great on Joshua's record, but like Molina, everyone talks about Molina, he got dropped in 2 rounds. Ruiz,
he's
good sounding name. Did beat Joshua. Obviously Josh done great in the rematch, but if you look back at history, when Lennox Lewis lost to Hasim Rahman, massive shock. In the rematch, Lennox Lewis made sure he knocked him out before the round 5, which Ratman dropped him in. So
okay,
I think Joshua's isn't as great as Eddie Hearn makes up.
Fair. Yeah, as you can see, guys, this isn't going to be some boring podcast where we both agree with everything each other says. We've got quite similar opinions on a lot of things and quite different opinions on some others as well. So I think we're going to have a fun time leading up to hopefully Joshua Fury in May or June. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the debates we have and thoughts we have on it going forward. Okay, so first topic we're going to cover, a little bit of an intro to this weekend. It's a big weekend of boxing coming up. Triple G returned to the ring. Feels like forever that he's been out, obviously. I looked up the other day and he's actually still 38. I think he's been 38 since 2012, to be honest. But yeah, I really look forward to seeing him back in the ring. What's your thoughts on his performance tomorrow night? Do you think he's going to be able to get back straight to it?
To be fair, it does look like he's just in quite a simple defence. He is going for the 21st defence of his middleweight title, which does put him outright. I know he's been with Bernard Hopkins on 20 for a while. Yeah. So I think a nice easy fight for him before he retargets Canelo next year, obviously depending on that other big fight this weekend. But Seramato, he's fighting 21-0, Polish guy, got 5 knockouts on his record, hasn't fought anyone who I've heard of. It just looks like a straightforward defence for Golovkin. It's his 3rd fight with Jonathan Banks. He hasn't looked particularly great. He knocked Steve Rolls out in 4 rounds. He fought Davrydenko, whatever his name is. Yeah. That was a close fight. Yeah. So I do think Golovkin's time is waning, is there for the taking. But yeah, it's difficult.
That's it. I think, you know, if Canelo wins this weekend, I think he needs that 3rd fight as soon as possible, really, because if it goes on any longer, you know, for me, his chances of winning that fight are dropping by the day, pretty much. So he needs that fight, I think, probably, what would you say, next after this, if they both win this weekend? Yeah,
it has to happen for Golovkin. The sooner it happens for Golovkin, the more chance he has of winning. Yeah. But I just can't see it. I think he's a great fighter, got a great legacy. But going forward, do you see him beating Billy Joe? Do you see him beating Andrade? Like, how many big fights is he going to win?
No, yeah. To be honest, I thought he was done. I didn't think we'd necessarily see him again. And it's, to be honest, the gap he's had, and the fact Canelo's only 30 and getting stronger all the time, there's a bit of a shine taken off the 3rd fight for me. I don't know how excited I would be. Obviously I would watch it, but I don't know if I'd necessarily want to see that fight. I'd probably rather see Canelo against Billy Joe and Golovkin, maybe against Danny Jacobs again. I think that would be a good rematch to take on. But yeah, I think Golovkin probably coming into his final 12 months in the sport, obviously he's been immense, but yeah, personally I think we agree on that. I don't think he's gonna actually pose that big of a threat to going back to the top this time round.
Okay, and your prediction for the fight? I've gone with a Golovkin round 7 KO.
Yeah, so I don't know much about his opponent. I think he's going to get him out of there probably quite early and look to make a statement. I think he's still going to carry the power, so I'd probably say he's going to take him in the first 4 rounds. Moving on from that then, obviously the day after we've got Canelo against Callum Smith. Really excited for this one. Obviously I didn't really think we'd get this fight, to be fair. Don't want to call Canelo out with it, but I didn't think he would actually take this fight. He'd seemed to me recently that he was cherry picking, so the fact that he's taken a fight against a guy that's 6'3" and effectively should probably be a cruiserweight, I think I've got a lot more respect again for Canelo for taking this fight on Saturday night. What's your thoughts on Callum Smith's chances? Obviously he's undefeated, beat George Groves, talked up a lot, obviously British guy. It's just a lot of people I see outside the UK think this is not even a close fight. They think Canelo walks it. What do you think of Callum's chances?
I'm very guilty in the past of overhyping the British guy. Yeah, I thought Ricky Hatton would beat Floyd Mayweather. There's been plenty of other occasions where I thought the British guy would, like I thought Ricky Burns had a chance of beating Terence Crawford. Yeah. I do have that tendency, but I think Callum's got a great shot in this fight. 6'3". If you've seen the head-to-head yesterday,
it was crazy, wasn't it?
He's a massive 6 inches taller than Canelo. I think he's capable of keeping Canelo on the end of his jab. I think he's good on the inside fighter.
There's not a rehydration clause either for this fight, is there?
No rehydration.
Which I think is going to be a big thing.
They can both come in as big as they can. Yeah. At that weight, Callum is naturally the bigger man. The only concern, is probably a big concern is Callum didn't look very good in his last fight. Against Ryder, I thought he struggled. Listened to an interview with John Ryder this week, and he thinks Callum's drained of the weight. I know they're saying he's perfect this week, but I don't think I've ever heard a boxer say he's had a bad camp in my life.
Yeah. That's a good point as well, because I think I've seen it before with interviews when they talk about him being, the weight he is and the fact that he should be bigger. It's always brushed aside, but whenever I see Joe Gallagher questioned on Callum's weight, or even Eddie Hearn, they seem to get quite quick to defend it. Almost there's an insecurity there about the fact that maybe he does struggle with the weight. So I think there is something in that as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think being 6'3" and constantly making 12 stone is a big ask. Yeah. Callum is a big guy. I think that he definitely has difficulty making the weight. I think eventually you will see him at 175. I think his time is limited at 168. Definitely. But it's just a case of, is this the right fight at the right time for Callum Smith? That's
it, yeah. And like you said with John Ryder, I think that was a career best performance from John Ryder, so there's a lot to read into it. But also, I think Callum probably had a bit of a night off. To me, didn't look that interested. I think for this fight he's going to be nervous. Obviously it's the biggest fight of his career, so I think it's definitely going to be a performance against Ryder is going to take 2 or 3 levels up from that. It's obviously going to have to for it to even be close. But what is your prediction then? I know it's a tough one, but what do you think is going to happen?
So I've tried to break this fight down as best I can. I think Canelo is a really good fighter on the front foot. Yeah. If you consider to compare him to a John Ryder, I do think they have similarities. Canelo's always looking to put pressure on the front foot. He's got fantastic footwork. He has. Even when he's not throwing punches, he's still keeping you under pressure. Yeah. His body work, he knocked out Callum's brother Liam Smith with just a fantastic body shot. And with Callum being that tall, is a big target to hit in the body. Callum needs to establish his jab. If he can keep Canelo off him with a jab for big portions of the round, then he's given himself a real chance. But if you go back, the fighters who've had success against Canelo, which is pretty limited to be fair, I think it's Floyd Mayweather and Triple G. Yeah. Triple G put him on the back foot. He backed Canelo up, and it was a really, really difficult fight. Similar aspects where Smith has the ability to box him, use his boxing skill to back him up. Floyd Mayweather is just a different kettle of fish. He's the best fighter of my lifetime. I don't think I would have seen anyone beat Floyd Mayweather. No. Although maybe
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul has
That'll be
a
episode
chance.
2, yeah.
But yeah, look, Callum isn't a slickster like Floyd is. Yeah. I think his best chance is to try and back up Canelo. Use the jab where he can. Bigger man, stronger man. He's also really, really good at an inside fighter. Yeah. Now, for someone who's as big as he is, that is quite surprising.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
I do think he has to make it a physical fight with Canelo. If he's the bigger, stronger man, when they're in the clinches, make his strength count. Rag him round. Is a saying in boxing, a good big one will always be a good little one. Yeah. The thing with this fight is Canelo a great little one.
Good shout. Yeah, personally I think I'd love to see an upset. I'd love to see the British guy bring it home. This prediction's going to sound like I'm sitting on the fence, but I do think Canelo on points is the most likely outcome, although I'd love to see a Smith knockout for sure.
Can you see a Smith getting a decision out in San Antonio?
Realistically, no. I mean, the standard of judging over the last few years has been poor, but what's more worrying for me, it seems to progressively be getting worse. So I think Smith's best chance is to try and stop him, but then will that be his downfall later on?
Yeah, I think Canelo has a fantastic chin. Golovkin didn't really put a dent in him. I don't think Kovalev caught him properly, but he didn't seem to trouble him. So I think my prediction is that it'll be a really close fight. Yeah. Which Callum Smith will lose, unfortunately, on split decision. But we're both backing Callum to get the job done.
Definitely,
and bring it back home, get a massive fight in Anfield next year. Yeah. That would be amazing to try and get the opportunity to go and see Canelo 100%. In the UK.
Yeah. Well, yeah, really looking forward to it. Big weekend of boxing, and yeah, we can't wait. Okay, just a quick recap then. Looking back to last weekend's boxing, Joshua Pulev, bit of reaction to that, obviously. So, I mean, I'll take the lead on this personally first, being the Joshua fanboy, self-proclaimed that I am. I thought it was a really good performance. I thought probably all-round one of his best. Showed his power, showed his patience, showed his fitness for me. Obviously, put Pulev down in round 3. A lot of people saying he should have stopped him sooner. For me, the fight should have been stopped anyway. Pulev turned his back. That fight should be stopped when a fighter turns his back. He got given a standing 8 count for a reason which I don't think I'll ever understand. So the fight should have been stopped by the referee there. Pulev was then given the chance to go back to his corner, have the minute rest, and if you look at the start of round 4, referee tells them both off for another 30-40 seconds, and then Pulev's back in it. So I think Joshua's getting a bit too much criticism for not taking him out early. Pulev was given ample amount of rest time after that 3rd round to get himself back together, and before that fight people were saying he had the best jab in the division. He got out jabbed. So I think Joshua's on a really good path. I think that's the perfect fight to prepare him for Fury, and I definitely think that fight puts him up there and raises his stock, if you like, in terms of his chances of beating Fury. So yeah, for me, pretty much a punch perfect performance apart from 1 or 2 things. Do you see it any differently?
Not really. What I was very impressed with was the body shot, the jab to the body.
Yeah.
It was one of the, like, Floyd Mayweather's the best fighter I've ever seen him, and one who I think the world of. Floyd used the jab to the stomach excellently. That got stolen by Andre Ward, who used that fantastically, and AJ's looking to use that. I can see that being a good weapon going forward for future fights, especially a heavyweight. A lot of them do headhunt, and in this performance, I thought it was a really, really good shot. It opened up Pulev's guard for that uppercut, and if Joshua catches you with that uppercut, it's a destructive punch.
That's got to be the best uppercut in world boxing, isn't it, surely?
Well, you would say that.
True. Do you think, one thing I have thought about recently, do you think Joshua's caught between styles a little bit? He does look to me, though, he's learning every fight, and again, he started when he was 18, so I cut him slack because he's 10 years of learning behind Fury and behind everyone else, realistically. But do you think he's caught between styles? Because I saw him again in this fight, changing stance a little bit, and I don't know if he 100% knows what kind of fighter he is, and I think that might be his downfall against Fury, is he might get caught between being aggressive and being cautious. I
think if he fights like that against Fury, he loses.
Yeah.
With Fury, he has to get in there and make it a rough fight.
Yeah.
And constant pressure on Tyson.
He's got to be a bully, isn't he, really?
Yeah, he has to make his strength, but does he have the strength? I don't think so. I don't think he's caught behind styles. I think he's trying to evolve.
Yeah.
He's how Vladimir Klitschko evolved, how Lennox Lewis evolved.
Yeah.
I think he needs to try and figure out a style where it is safety first, because he definitely has vulnerabilities when he's being hit. The jab was absolutely wonderful, to be fair.
He's very underrated, I think, his jab,
Yeah, I think that Joshua is developing into a very good fighter. Although I will always push for Fury, I think Fury beats him.
Yeah.
The longer it gets left between that fight, I think the more problems Joshua causes for him.
Yes,
he's massively improving. That's probably the most controlled I've seen him against against Ruiz. Ruiz was 2 stone overweight and he was already fat as it was.
Yeah.
So I think Pulev was in shape, probably the best shape he's been in for a few years. And I think the way that Joshua dealt with him, you can't really have any criticism against his performance.
No, exactly. No one's really done that to Pulev before. His only loss was to Klitschko. And yeah, I agree with you. I think the thing with Joshua is he hasn't reached his ceiling yet, and I think Fury has. That's not a criticism of Fury. He's the best in the world, obviously. But I do agree with you that the longer it goes on before that fight happens, the more chance Joshua would have. If it happens next, Fury will be favourite, but I think it'll be really, really close, and obviously it can go either way. So yeah, looking forward to that one as well. There we go then, that'll do for episode 1. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Really looking forward to the fights this weekend. If you haven't got DAZN already, get it. It's $1.99 a month. Gonna see Canelo Smith for $1.99. I mean, you can't get better value than that. But yeah, really enjoyed doing this podcast. Gonna do a reaction video next week. Hopefully do 1 video a week for you guys. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
And for $1.99 a month, the first month especially, you get Golovkin, you get Canelo Smith, you get Garcia Campbell. £1.99 a month.
Is that your best Eddie Hearn impression?
Honestly, I should work for DAZN.
Catch you later.